So far, the 2020 movie calendar has been quite a wild ride for obvious reasons, with many of the year's biggest films ultimately being nudged into next year in order to maximise their box office potential. And so 2021 is looking to be an incredibly stacked year for cinema, full of hugely anticipated movies, many of which we were originally supposed to have seen already. As ever, fans have been speculating wildly on what the next 12 months of movies could bring, and how the year's remaining biggest planned releases will be wrapping things up. So looking forward to 2021 in film, here are the twist endings, surprise cameos, glorious credit scenes, and everything in between you should totally be expecting. I'm Amy from What Culture, and here's our predictions as to how 2021's biggest movies will end. 9. Black Widow, a Natasha and Tony Stark flashback. Considering that Black Widow is an MCU prequel, there's been much debate about how the superhero film might end, with some even theorizing that it could find a way to raise Natasha Romanoff from the dead. But given that the MCU struggles to make death feel final most of the time, we're gonna bank on Natasha actually staying dead when it's all said and done. It's actually likely that the film's final scene will serve as an emotional farewell to Natasha by flashing back to an earlier interaction, perhaps between herself and Stark. We already know that Tony Stark has a small role in the film, and what better placement could it have than as an unexpectedly poignant hangout between the two deceased Avengers? Maybe Tony dispenses a piece of advice that seems insignificant at the time, but has a deeper meaning when viewed in the post-Endgame context, giving Natasha the fittingly emotive send-off she's been previously denied. 8. Fast and Furious 9, the family goes to space. It's been a running joke for years that the Fast and the Furious franchise has been ramping up the ridiculousness to the point that the family will eventually end up going to space. A joke though it might have initially been, Michelle Rodriguez recently let slip that the upcoming Fast and Furious 9 will indeed see at least some of Dominic Toretto's crew exiting the Earth's atmosphere. Given that the movie's marketing has shown off Roman riding a rocket-powered Pontiac Fiero, it's not the biggest leap in the world for us to assume that this technology will be used to put the family in space. And even if it sadly doesn't happen in this one, it's tough to imagine director Justin Lin, who is also set to return for the franchise concluding 10th and 11th films, being able to resist a trip to space before the series is done. Come on, Justin, just give the audience what they want. 7. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Egon returns as a ghost. Ghostbusters fans are eager to see how the upcoming 4th film, Ghostbusters Afterlife, will hopefully paper over the awkwardness of 2016's botched reboot and deliver a worthy sequel to the first 2 movies. The fact that all the surviving principal cast members are on board to reprise their roles is encouraging, though of course the late great Harold Ramis will sadly be unable to return as Egon Spengler. Perhaps somewhat tellingly though, Dan Aykroyd has talked about Ramis's absence and how Afterlife will address it, saying that he'll be very well represented in the new film. Some have interpreted this to mean that we may end up with a CGI Harold Ramis briefly appearing as a ghost. Given that the film is centered on Egon's daughter and grandchildren, and the title is literally Afterlife, it certainly makes a lot of sense. There's obvious concerns with taste where digital recreations of dead actors are concerned, but if it's done with care and to further the emotional scope of the story, it could absolutely work. A brief appearance from a spectral Egon to his family and perhaps to his former teammates could end the film on a satisfyingly emotional note. 6. No Time to Die. James Bond retires. Though there have been persistent rumours that No Time to Die may bring Daniel Craig's tenure as 007 to an end by killing his version of the character, that seems like an awfully risky, even drastic move. Beyond the fact that it will give casual audiences a bit of a headache when another actor takes up the mantle from Craig, original director Danny Boyle reportedly quit the film because he just wasn't given permission to kill Bond. I mean, there is also the fact that the film is literally called No Time to Die, so do what you like with that information. That said, it truly feels like the film will give Craig a more empathetic send-off than most Bond actors ever get, likely ushering him into a totally unambiguous retirement. Given that Craig's films have placed an over-the-odds emphasis on how broken down the spy is, it'd be fitting that he vanquishes the villain and gets to retire in the sun with Madeline, assuming she survives the movie, which I have to say may be a little unlikely in itself. 5. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Spider-Man stops Venom from killing Carnage. We still know precious little about the upcoming Andy Serkis-directed Venom sequel, though rumours have been running rampant for months that Tom Holland will make a small appearance in the film as Spider-Man. It's incredibly easy to believe, considering that Holland filmed a cameo for the first Venom film, albeit one that was eventually ditched. But with Venom grossing a stonking $856 million worldwide, Kevin Feige might be a little more eager for a cross-brand partnership this time around. While it's unlikely that Holland will have a big role in the film, he could absolutely show up for a single scene at the film's end. What if, just as Venom is about to kill Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage, Spidey swings in to break things up? That way Spidey gets to net himself 2 enemies for the price of 1, which is especially useful if Feige wants to pull the trigger on a Sinister Six movie one day. 4. Spiral. Samuel L. Jackson is the new Jigsaw. Now, this is admittedly an outlandish theory, but given that Spiral is an entry into the Saw franchise, the 9th in fact, there's no possibility that it doesn't end with a ridiculous, game-changing plot twist. Though many are already convinced that veteran cop Marcus Banks will end up a victim of one of the killer's many deadly games, what if this is all a smokescreen? What if Marcus appears to have been killed but pulls a jigsaw and is revealed to have been the criminal mastermind all along? Granted, Jackson is 71 years of age, and there's no voice changer on the planet that would disguise his distinctive vocals, but establishing him as the new villain sure would be an incredible way to rejuvenate the flagging franchise. Tobin Bell didn't exactly have to do much physical acting in the Saw sequels, so it likely wouldn't be a huge commitment from the workaholic Jackson. If nothing else, it'd be one hell of a swerve, and it would certainly get people hyped for the inevitable sequel. 3. The Matrix 4. Morpheus returns. Doesn't that just kind of sound like the title of a movie in itself? As exciting as the prospect of a 4th Matrix film is, fans have been restless about the absence of Lawrence Fishburne, who has confirmed that he was not asked to reprise the role of Morpheus. Though there are rampant rumours that Yahya Abdul-Mateen II may be playing a young version of the character somehow, it's easy to suspect that Fishburne and the Wachowskis may be toying with fans here. Perhaps this is like a Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens situation, and Morpheus will make a return only in the final moments of the film, providing one hell of a mic drop lead-in to the inevitable 5th film. Given that even Hugo Weaving's agent Smith was invited to return for the sequel, it'd be truly bizarre if Fishburne wasn't in the film just for the simple creative reasons. You can pretty much bank on it. You just know he's filmed a short cameo which Warner Bros. Are desperately hoping doesn't get spoiled before the film's release next Christmas. 2. Spider-Man 3. Willem Dafoe cameos as Norman Osborn. The currently untitled 3rd MCU Spider-Man film gets more exciting with each passing casting announcement. The recent confirmation that Andrew Garfield and Kirsten Dunst will be appearing in the film, whilst Sony is currently negotiating with Tobey Maguire and Emma Stone, makes it pretty clear that the film is going to be like a live-action Spider-Verse adaptation. But the name many fans are still waiting to hear is Willem Dafoe, who of course gave a magnificent performance as Norman Osborn, aka Green Goblin, in the original Raimi Spider-Man movie. While it remains to be seen if he will indeed join the film, don't be surprised if his casting isn't publicly announced, and fans will only know for sure when he shows up in the film's final scene. Though logic dictates that the Spider-Verse angle would be set up and resolved inside of a single movie, a post-credit scene showing Norman Osborn freaking out about Spider-Man would be a crowd pleaser, tantamount to J.K. Simmons' surprise cameo as J. Jonah Jameson in Far From Home. If Dafoe isn't brought back, it will be one of the MCU's most infuriating missed opportunities to date. 1. Halloween Kills. Laurie's daughter is killed by Michael. Had 2020 been a normal year, Halloween Kills would have hit cinemas back in October, but Universal instead made the decision to delay its release by an entire year to capitalise on the lucrative seasonal box office. Returning director David Gordon Green has promised that the sequel to his 2018 film will boast 10 times more kills, but in the end it might be only one that truly matters to Laurie Strode. It's not much of a secret that Halloween Kills is going to end on some sort of cliffhanger leading into the final film in the new trilogy, Halloween Ends. At this point, there's not much new that the series can do, but what about having Laurie's daughter Karen killed by Michael's hand? It would be a suitably horrifying way to set the stage for the final, we really mean it this time, final battle between Laurie and Michael. And to get the best payoff, I guess we need to put the stakes higher than ever. And that's all for our predictions of how 2021's biggest movies will end. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, remember to check out whatculture.com for more lists and articles like this every single day. I've been Amy from What Culture, and I'll catch you next time.